Hey everybody, welcome to the video. It's the 20th of July. It's about 2 p.m. We've got 2 hours left in the trading session. I'd like to take a look at the stock market and also talk a little bit about crypto. Before I get into any of this, of course, as you all know, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You are responsible for your own trades, managing your own risks, doing your own research, and I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So let's go ahead and move into the charts. Here we go. All right, so I've got NQ up here. I'm taking a look at NASDAQ. You know, we've been talking about this for a while, and I'm I'm going to go to a 4-hour time frame here. Talk about this. I've got a pretty decent dominant pivot back here from March. Let me just zoom over here and take a look at this. Pretty dominant pivot here. You know, we created a pretty decent bottom, and this is at about 12,000 to 12,600. Good bottom here. And back then, you know, this was way back when we were here, probably in May. You know, I said this is going to be our level of bullish invalidation. We currently have not violated that, so that's been good. And then once we did this retest, we kind of stayed inside of this channel for quite a while. You know, we were inside this channel starting from May 31st, tested the bottom, tested the upper, tested the bottom, tested the kind of went up to the top, tested the bottom, went to the top, went to the bottom, tried to test the top, and eventually we fell through. And that's kind of where we're at right now, you guys. So that's where we are. We've got, and I've got from this dominant pivot low down here, got a dominant pivot high up here. I've got that we kind of bottomed out here at this 236. It's still possible for us to go lower. I'm not discounting that we could be going lower. I've actually opened up a short position, much smaller than the short positions that I got into here and here, right? So if you were, if you're on our Discord server, you know that I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this for a while, and I capitalized on it right down here. You know, as we spent the majority of the day at the lows yesterday, I was covering all of my shorts. I questioned whether I should keep them open, but I ended up about 3 o'clock yesterday. I closed them all. And it's a good thing that I did, because we've been basically moving up. That the last 10 minutes of the trading session yesterday were pretty bullish. Probably a lot of shorts covering, if I'm being honest. But we broke down below this trend line right here. Do I think that we could be trying to move back up here to reject? I think we're getting close to at least short-term exhaustion. Let me go to the hourly here. One of the other reasons why I closed my position, again, it was right down here. We had a low, a bounce up, and a rejection, but it didn't have any continuation behind it. That's one of the reasons why I decided to close that out. So I closed out my position. You know, we had the 1 hour and the 3 hour. They were all way low. They were all indicating that we should be creating a bottom. I know it's probably hard to see, but there is some bullish divergence that was showing here on the hourly waves indicator. We had a low here. Looking up at the price, there was a pretty dominant pivot low there. And then we created a new low, and we had a higher low on the indicator. So that's bullish divergence. We can't ignore that. So that's another reason why I decided to get out, because everybody is in buy the dip mode. So how much longer is buy the dip going to work? Well, I'm taking a calculated risk here that we will eventually be moving a little bit lower over the next 2 weeks. Okay, so 2 weeks, that's a significant amount of time. It could happen quicker than that. It may take... I suppose it could take longer than that. I don't expect that it will. So what I'm going to do here is I've got my fib tool, and I'm going to pin that right there and take this and get the pullback. All right, so we've got that right here. NQ, currently above the 50, retrace. I would expect probably is going to find itself up here to the 618. This is where I think we're going to get that rejection. All right, so we've got, some consolidation here. Get that retest, and then start yourself back down, potentially to 14.3. I think it's possible. If, right? So let me just talk this through here for a moment. I'm talking about a pretty significant move from 14,784 down to 14,317. That is taking it from the 618 down to the negative 236. That would be a significant move to the downside. And by saying this, I'm setting ourselves up for a really decent trade setup here. Taking the short position here at 14,784, giving myself a tight stop loss because stop losses are really, really important. The reward is huge. That's a 3% move. And we're talking, you can give yourself a little bit more than 0.23%. You can give yourself maybe even a 0.5%. But I would say, we've got the 618 there. Let's throw the 786 on here. That is what kind of a risk profile? That's a 0.64% for a 3.17%. That's 5 to 1. That is a decent risk to reward. Now, let me just put this into perspective. What did I just do? And again, if you were on the Discord server, you did this with me, right? You were short and you added to your short right here. And you covered your short down here. Significant move to the downside. I did not take a long position because right now I have to admit I've got a little bit of a bearish bias. That's okay. That's what this is. That's what this is. So if this is a simple correction, right? So let's talk about lately. We don't talk about that a whole lot, but I'm always looking at it. From here, ABC, down here into the A, ABC into the B, and then potentially ABC. You could probably count a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So, if it's a 3, 3, 5, whatever it may be, that looks like a correction that potentially has completed. But now off of this, I'm going to go to a 15 here, and let's just look at this for a moment. Off of the lows, what do we have? This looks like an ABC, right? This doesn't look very impulsive. You can definitely count a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of this. So if this is a maybe a 335, 535, whatever that may be, this also looks corrective. From here, A, B, C. And then from there, let's talk about that. What does this look like? This absolutely looks corrective to me. A, B, C. Okay? And we're pushing up right now. Pushing up. I'm expecting, potentially move up to that 14,785. From that low, again, we're on a 15. You can see we've got a nice move up, pull back. Up, pull back. And then we're maybe finishing this move up here. Again, 14,785. This is where I would be looking to potentially take a short on NDX. Now, I am short on the S&P, which I'll talk about that here in a moment. But for here, I think this is looking okay. Let's measure it. Let's see what the measurements look like. Okay? From this bottom here to this dominant pivot high right there, get the pullback. We might not get to that 618. The 1236 is sitting right here at 14,766. Okay? So this would be what our target is. Let's take it off of log into linear. It doesn't really look much better, right? One way or another, we're potentially getting to that point where we're going to be losing momentum on this move, and we would be starting to see another pullback. Okay? So, and we talk about this stuff all the time. Corrections come in waves of 3. And we already capitalized on this 3-wave structure coming down. Now, we didn't capitalize on the movement up because I wasn't expecting it to move up like this. Again, even though everybody's in buy the dip mode, I wasn't expecting that big of a move to the upside. But now that we're here, we can exact a trade based off of this structure. And that is, I love to take trades off the 618. And I love to close them out at the negative 236. Right? So let this be a free lesson for you all. Some of your highest probability trades and some of the trades that are the easiest to manage are a 618 pullback to the negative 236 extension. There is somebody on the server that says that, it makes a little more higher probability of a success to close it out at the 236 instead of the negative 236 extension, right? So if you pulled it back here, you take it from the 618 to the 236 of the prior retracement level here, your probability of winning is higher, but this is a higher rate of return. And at a minimum, once it hits that once it hits this 236 down here at 14,573, at a minimum you could set a trailing stop, and that way you're going to be a winner regardless, right? But fact of the matter is, I do think that we're getting close to exhaustion here on this move up, even though the trajectory of it is pretty steep. More than likely we're going for some stop losses, and it's possible that people are waiting for this to load any short positions that they want to get into if they missed out on the big move, which we did not miss out on that move. We got it. On the S&P, however, I think that we do have further down to go. On the S&P, right, we're not making new highs where NASDAQ is making new intraday highs. And let me get off of this and go to the hourly, okay? This is something that I had from all the way back here on the 16th. The video that I did on the 16th, you can go back and watch it. I created this, and basically this is one of the reasons why I closed a lot of my short positions, because it hit my target. So now I'm going to do this again. And just because I did this once doesn't mean I'm going to be right every time. That is not the case. I do have times when I am wrong. Everybody has times when they are wrong. But right here, we're at the 618 right now. Taking this down to 41.86, and I had been conservatively telling the people on the Discord that, I would be targeting about 4,200, right? 42.25 was pretty darn important because that was an important moving average. So let me get our moving averages on here. All right, so let's pull this up. And let me go ahead and get rid of, if it'll let me, it's not going to let me do this. I had this problem the last time as well. No big deal. All right, let me go to a daily. Okay, so ES, and maybe I should be taking a look at SPX. But on ES, we tested the 55 exponential. Again, another reason why I was so adamant about closing my short positions here. But now we're moving up. And on lower time frames, let's go to, say, a 4-hour time frame. Where's our moving averages? Right now, we've got the 21 below us. We're testing the 55, right? So the 55 is kind of like right here where we're at right now, the 55 exponential. And let's see here. The 200s are down below, and the 100 is down below as well. The 100 on the 4-hour has started to curl down, and it's just kind of flatlining right now, whereas it had been on sort of a positive momentum for a while. The 55 curled, the 21 definitely curled. The 100, which is our cyan line here, this is the 100 exponential moving average. This is just kind of moving sideways right now. And I would say that we tested this blue, which is the 30. Let's see here. Let me pull up my data window here. That's the 30 simple moving average right there. That's that blue trend line that we've got, the blue moving average rather, sorry. We tested that and had a little bit of a rejection. So if we get above the 30 simple moving average, which is currently at 43.25 roughly, it's at 43.2470, we'll call it 43.25. If we get above that, then I will probably start to question this. And this is on the S&P. But for now, I really am looking for that continued move, at least to retest the 55 exponential. And again, that 55 exponential is right here. The 100 exponential is all the way down here at 41.30. Is it going to be out of the question for us to go back and retest that? I don't think so. Maybe not the 100, but back here on March 4th, we went pretty deep. We went beyond. So basically, let me go on. I hate to do this because I know I've got a lot of history on here, but let me just zoom in on this and just kind of compare what happened here. We had a test of the 55. We had a pretty darn bullish candle the next day. And then after that, we started a 3-day decline, right? So let's just put this into perspective. Let's say that this was Monday. This was yesterday. Retested the 55. The next day, Tuesday, today, pretty darn green candle. Pretty darn big green candle. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It can happen that fast. it can happen that fast. Now, I'm not saying that it will. I'm just saying to be cautious for that third move down, which could have significant thrust behind it. Again, looking at the daily candles here, what did we have? We had a big candle down to retest that 55. Today, big green candle. Tomorrow, what's it going to hold? What's it going to have in store for us? I mean, my bias is that I don't know if it's going to happen in 3 days. I doubt it's going to happen in 3 days. But I'm giving myself 2.5 weeks here for this to see another sustained move down. How does that impact Bitcoin? Bitcoin, moving to the hourly here, it doesn't look great. Bitcoin doesn't look great. We are below big moving averages. Okay, let me get rid of this. We're below major moving averages. One would say that, we were bear flagging here. We rejected. I would argue that we've got a little bit of bullish divergence. Waves indicator is saying buy, right? We have the 1 hour, the 3 hour, and the 12 hour all down here, all at the same time. It's different from what we had right here. This is, in my opinion, a better buy signal than what we had back here on July 14th. We had the 1 hour and the 3 hour down here, but the 12 hour is still moving down. 12 hour is still moving down. The 12 hour has crossed up, and I would argue that we've got, again, more bullish divergence here on the 12 hour even. So, in my opinion, crypto looks a little bit better than the stock market for the short term. What I would love to see for Bitcoin, and again, we've been talking about this for a while now. Okay, so let's now get rid of this. Now that we've created a new low here, let me just get rid of some of this, because again, this correction, we can now safely assume that we are extending this correction back. And this is going to come back down here. Things are going to start to look a little bit clearer. And then we've got this pullback. So assuming that pivot holds, our target to the upside it's actually not much different. I'm going to be looking for a move to 37 up to potentially 39.4. So this box, I'm going to move it to about right here, right? So this is where I'm going to be looking for that move up to. Now, a lot of hopium right now. Not going to lie. But the last time we had the 1 hour, 3 hour, and the 12 hour this low, we had a big capitulation move. This was back here, and we had a move up to 40,000. The next time was approximately, I would say it's about right here. We had a move from down here at about 31,000 up to about 35. So not as big of a move. So I do have to have a little bit of skepticism, but I would say that from here, it seems to be a good risk to reward to be a buyer with a little bit of leverage. We're below 30,000 right now. And so historically speaking, this was a move right to 30K. Maybe it was a little bit lower on this exchange. This was below 30K and it was a bounce. I would say this is a good place to be trying. Stop loss, where do you stop? Where are you wrong? Well, in my opinion, if you're going to take this trade, you need a stop loss at about 29,200. Right on the other side of this low. And Bitcoin loves to do stop raids. So I would say, if it were me, I would take a little nibble here, take a bigger nibble down here, and then stop loss on the other side of maybe 28.8. All right. So I would say to be cautious, because if these levels break, okay, let's put things into perspective. If these levels break, let me take a look at Bitcoin on the Bitfinex, because I don't think I've got a whole lot on here. On the daily, this level, right? So we had this channeled out. We're at the bottom of the channel again. If we break down below this, we have to look at expansion scenarios. And actually, I've already got an expansion right here at 24, about 24.8. So if we break down below this, you can almost be certain we're going to go down here to 24.8. That next level, let's see here, that's negative 0.5. Let's do a negative 1. down here. This would be a 100% expansion would be down here at about 20,600. Now we're talking about basically retesting the highs. So let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see this. That would basically be a retest of the highs. Now, I don't want to see that happen, but I would say that we are at a point where we could be seeing an expansion to the downside if this level doesn't hold. This level is so important, so important. Let me just talk about one more thing about Bitcoin. Can Bitcoin go to 100,000? Yes, it can. Can Bitcoin go above 100,000? Yes, it can. But I think that there is one thing that has to happen first. Okay? What has to happen first is we have to have Tether blow up. And I don't know how many other people are talking about this. Tether has to have a significant problem that is made public. And I know that there's a lot of FUD around Tether right now. I don't think that there's a whole lot of people talking about it. And I don't have any evidence to sustain anything that says that Tether is in trouble right now. But I think that Bitcoin and the crypto market needs a cleansing event revolving around stablecoins. So this is what I think is going to happen. If you asked me what I thought Bitcoin was going to do, I would say that Bitcoin's going to go from here, potentially up here, maybe consolidate for a little bit, make a move up, maybe not quite that high. And then I think up here there's going to be something that is going to come out negative in crypto, and it's going to cause that move down. And it's going to be devastating because there's a lot of people that are already over leveraged from up here. A lot of people are buying the dip here when, again, this looks like, and I talked about this last week, this looks like redistribution, where this was accumulation up to distribution for 3 months, and then now we are in a redistribution phase. We got to get back up here above 35 to make ourselves up here, up at about 38. But again, I think something is going to happen when this happens. Something is going to happen. It could be the Fed is going to ban stablecoins in the U.S. I think that's going to be very difficult to do. But I do think that the U.S. could issue subpoenas and lawsuits against Tether at a federal level and not just a state level. I think that something, don't know what it is, something can happen. So if you're going to buy down here, I think this is a good place to be doing it. I would say that as the price gets up here, you should be shaving off the profits. As short term as that trade may have been, shave off the profits. We could be going into, August when this happens. Price potentially coming all the way down here, and then wait for that to be that moment where you're going to have an opportunity, a significant, better opportunity than you had back here. Significant opportunity to catch a big move up, a pullback for a larger move up. Do I think this can happen before the end of the year? Do I think it can? Yes. Will it? I would be lying if I told you it would, because nobody knows. Nobody knows what the market is going to do. All we have is some technical indicators and maybe some fundamental analysis to tell us this is a good probability to be buying. Right? That's all we have is probability. Probability to be buying. And in my opinion, we have a little bit of room to the upside, maybe $8,000, $9,000 to the upside on Bitcoin. But I would be very, very, very cautious. And if you do find that you bought down here and you find the price all the way up here at 40 or 41,000, I would take that profit and I would run for now, right? That's a significant move to the upside. That's a 33% move roughly to the upside if that does come to fruition. Take that profit. If the price keeps going, okay? So let's just talk about this for a moment. Let's say we don't get that catalyst, whatever it may be. Let's say that the price does keep going. Well, if you sold back here, like I'm not officially telling you to do, I can't tell you what to do. I'm just saying what I would do. if you did happen to take the profit up here and the price keeps going, buy the pullback. This is how support and resistance levels exist. Because you have people that took profit here and then the price kept going, so now they want to get back in. Right? You've got people that are going to chase it. Don't do that. Buy the pullback. And then catch that bigger move to the upside that potentially could go back up to 60K. All right? And maybe from 60K we get that big move, right? So we have a channel here that is very, very crystal clear. Expansion to the upside would be up here at about 60,000. That would be the next place I'd be looking to take profit. So let's say you took this move here from 29.5 to 38, 39,000, big move. All right, then it breaks out. You get the pullback. Well, maybe you can get this from 42K up to 60K. Big move, right? You don't have to take it from 29.5 to 60K because I think your probability is low. I think your probability is low for a trade like that. We have these indicators to tell us when a good time to be buying is. You've got to look at the price action to determine where you should be getting out. And right now, I mean, this doesn't look good. We've got a descending trend line here. We've got another descending trend line here. It's going to be resistance pushing through this. And then this level right here, this yellow level right here to about 42, that is significant resistance. All right. So that's what I've got on the S&P. That's what I've got on NASDAQ, right? So the S&P, again, just really quickly, in case you're joining in late, looking at this, potentially creating a little bit of a top here at the 618. Take a look at NASDAQ, potentially hitting that 1236 right now. That just hit, okay? Literally, it just hit to the T. That 1236, let's put the price on there and let's just see prices. 14,765.50. The high, 14,764.50. It's within 1 point. And we're still close enough that we could hit that target. Excuse me. So the 618, however, I think is the more important one, which is going to be a 14,785. 14,785, that's where I would be looking to get into an NDX short. Right now, I'm in SPX short. I'm looking potentially to get into a spread that has a lot less exposure. I had a lot of exposure for this move here. A lot of exposure for this move here. Covered all of it down here. And look at where we are now. We're hitting that upside target. So yeah, we actually just hit at 14,765. Now we're pushing through it a little bit. I'm looking for a move up here to the 618. It's looking pretty good. One of the guys on the server was talking about Moderna. Let's just take a look at it here really quick. Moderna has had a complete massive sell-off. One thing I'll say about Moderna is, this sell-off was expected. And, we were talking, and I can actually go back into the chat when we were talking about Moderna. So here, let me just go back and take a look at this. Moderna, here we go. So this is about 10:30 this morning, roughly. Let's see here. Wanted to short. I didn't think. Here we go. Moderna target hit. I think it can go to 339. Premiums were pretty high, and I was like, okay, well, we did hit that 340, but the short looked too good. I didn't take the short, but I know several people on the server did. They were at like 90% profit on that short. Premiums were pretty high. Get to 90%. Shave half of it off, that next trade is free. Depending on what your expiration was, it could work out really, really well. Why did I think Moderna was going to pivot and move to the downside? Well, I'll pull this up here. Moderna on the daily. So this is not something I talk about very often. But expansion, this was way overbought. Way overbought. It was too high. Absolutely too high. I said, no, this is going to pull back, and it's going to pull back significantly, and it did. It did. Even the price action from the open to today is negative 3%, but when we were talking about it, it was all the way up here, and currently that's down 9% from where we were talking about shorting it. That was at 10 o'clock this morning, 30 minutes into the trading day. So let me move to a 30-minute time frame. let's just take a look at this. All right, so it was at 10:09, so it was right up here. The price was 334, 335, somewhere in this range, and Elo on the server was talking about shorting it. And I didn't take it because the premiums were a little jacked up, and I didn't really like it. But now this looks great, and I think it's probably going to continue moving. I don't have any reason to believe that we're going to see a significant bounce to the upside here. This doesn't look like a finished correction to me. I mean, it could bounce a little bit, but maybe only to like 320 or so, and I think it's probably going to continue down. Maybe go for this gap fill here at 260. That's maybe a little extreme, but down here at 260, go back to the daily. What do we have down there? At 260, right here, we've got our +1 on our expansion target. We were at +4. +1. It would make a lot of sense to come back down here. We've been riding that, and this is just a simple Keltner channel. Nothing special about this. Nothing secret. Right? This is just Keltner channel. We got the +1, +2, +3, +4. If you get to the +3, you should start short hunting. You get to the +4, you need to be shorting, and that's one of the reasons why I said we need to be shorting this. But coming back down here to the basis would also make a whole lot of sense. And that currently is at 248. Give it a couple days, it's going to go up here to 260. Right? If you take a look at the trajectory of this Keltner channel right there, just take it straight up. Well, we could easily get to that 260 mark as the basis by July 22nd. That's just in a couple days. That's Thursday. That's Friday. You could be hitting that 260, which would be a nice gap fill right here. So right here, this for me, this is a level to be covering shorts and to be getting equity. I mean, if you want to scalp a position here, you could probably do that. But right here, this to me looks like a nice area for there to be a bounce. A simple bounce on a gap fill. Okay, the other thing that I want to look at is bonds. I'm short on bonds. If you're in the server that you know this, I'm short on bonds. I'm short on ZB. And one of the reasons why I like a short on ZB is the fact that, let me just go to a 4-hour here. I like this, that we are almost to the 50, right? So we hit the 382, we had a little bit of a rejection, and then I kind of expected this move up here, almost to the 50. Maybe it'll poke that 50 up here at 167.16. It's very possible that it does make that move up there, but I think this is a wave 4. I don't want to see it go beyond that, because then that kind of invalidates a little bit. It doesn't really invalidate my bearish bias, but from up here, we go down here to the dominant pivot low. We get this pullback, and if we get up here and we don't really go much higher, I don't want to see us go much higher than this. I think that the downside target is going to be 146. That 146 is the 786 as well from a prior move, from a prior significant move. So we'll go to the 6-hour here. I'm going to have to go to the daily. That's okay. I'll go to the daily to get this. So from this dominant pivot here to that dominant pivot up there, to the high there, we had the pullback at the 618. We took this trade. I don't know if you realized it or not, if you're on a Discord server. We took this trade. That was significant profit. We closed that at 164. So we closed that right up here, right when we were hitting 164. That was a great move. Now I'm getting bearish on TLT to come back down here to 146. It's as simple as that. Now, will I close out my trade before it gets there? I probably will. I'll be looking for a sustained move down into the low 150s. Probably will cover there when we get significant profit. I'm not looking for max profit on the verticals that I've got. TLT is going to be exactly the same. TLT and ZB look almost exactly the same. The difference is TLT doesn't have overnight trading hours like ZB does. ZB is the futures, and they're not exactly the same, but they're pretty darn close. So for this, again, that 50 is sitting right here at about 154. I would say that more than likely, we've got a 1, 2, 3, working on a little bit of a 4, and then a 5. So it's potentially could poke a little bit higher. But again, I'm going to be looking for, let me move this down here. So possible it goes to 156, but I doubt it. I think that we potentially yesterday and today have created the high. I'd be looking for TLT to go down to 125. And I have until September for TLT to come down to 125. So that's what I've got on TLT. Currently in a trade on, in a smaller, shorter term trade that we currently have on TBT, which is the short version of this. So this is TBT, kind of expecting this to bounce. Okay, so sometimes I like to look at charts in the inverse, right? So let's just do this. Taking it from that dominant pivot low to that dominant pivot high, bouncing off of that 618. Okay, so we're bouncing. We're above the 618 now. Do I think that TBT can go up to 25? Well, my TBT trade is a lot different than my TLT trade. TBT trade rather, goes through August 20th. So I have until August 20th right here, right there. Put that there. Okay, that's where my trade expires, and I'm expecting it to stay above. I'm expecting it to stay above 17. All right, we're at 1726 right now. I'm expecting it to stay above that, and move up into, at least 18, maybe 19 if we're lucky, by August 20th. So yeah, I've got 1 month on this trade. I've got 1 month for TBT to move up, which means I'm giving TLT a month to continue a decline. All in all, this looks okay. This daily, right, on TBT, look at this. Yesterday, tiny red to the downside. Today, huge green engulfing, bullish engulfing candle. This candle structure here looks very bullish, moving to the upside. Let me see if I can find an example of where this happened before. This is similar, where we had a little candle one day, the next day a big bullish engulfing candle. Then it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, potentially 6 days, another week, for this to really take a significant move to the upside. If that happened, I'd probably cover my TBT trade. I want to see if there's another better example. I'm not really seeing one. I guess back here is another example. A little candle yesterday. Today, big green candle. The next day was pretty big green, right? Here we had, a little candle. The next day, kind of a bullish engulfing. The next day, green, 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 green. So all in all, this looks good. This looks good for a significant move to the upside, which means TLT could be potentially setting up for a significant move to the downside. Let me pull up TLT again here on the daily. What do we have? Significant bearish engulfing candle. This doesn't look bullish at all. You can't tell me that this looks bullish. Now, what I am saying is that, yeah, it's possible that we could poke for a new high, but this is a tremendous bearish engulfing candle. So this typically, now again, I mentioned this earlier in the video, there is nothing certain about the markets. There is no certainty in the markets, but what you can do is take into account probabilities. And from prior probabilities, when you have a bearish engulfing candle, this wasn't quite one, but it looks very similar. Next day, big red, big red, big red, right? So bearish engulfing candles. This one, not quite the same, but still the next day was red. It was green, but it was lower. Then the next day was lower, right? Trying to see if I can find yet again some bearish engulfing candles to look at here. Here is a bearish engulfing candle. Down, 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 down. Okay? Bearish engulfing candle. Here's another one. The prior day was a small bodied candle. The next day, bearish engulfing. The next day, significant down. And that one had a further sustained move to the downside. Let me see here. Now we're going to be getting into 2020, 2019. I'm not really interested in going back that far. But from a candle structure standpoint, this is a significant bearish engulfing candle if in the next 1 hour and 17 minutes we close at 150. That is a significant bearish engulfing candle. That would tell me that we are going to see continued movement to the downside. And again, it's not going to move in a straight line. Not going to move in a straight line. Tomorrow could be green. But unless tomorrow closes above 152.50, 152.60, unless tomorrow closes above that, I'm going to maintain a bearish bias, at least for the next 2 months. Okay, the weekly especially. I expect the weekly is going to close somewhere in the 150 range. And that would solidify for me my bias that we are going to be seeing some more movement to the downside. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I've been going for, hard to believe, about 40 minutes. If this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. If you don't have access to our Discord, you can visit bitdoctor.org for more information about our insured group. I'll put that in the chat so that you've got that. And wherever you're in the world, I hope you're having a good day, good night, and a good evening. Take care, everyone.